Okay, and then the last reference. Okay, so right. So I showed you where they put it in there. They referenced it to Deuteronomy 18:5. Here's the thing. We've already gone through this a lot in this country. What happens when people do come for a job and stuff, and I noticed that there's a lot more people coming from different areas, and they're Muslim. So when the women come over, and this is something I wanted to talk about, them like almost like losing their dowry in a sense, like they go back to the land that they're from. um they usually end up somewhere with Catholicism. It's kind of like the Virgin of Guadalupe thing, because the guys came and stuff like that. Sometimes, not always, do they kind of get left behind between whether it's multiculturalism or a mix or whatever. They end up going back, and these women who have a legitimate claim end up losing their dowry in a sense, or for this new life, concept or whatever it is, and they end up having the concept of what you call the Virgin of like Guadalupe, or in other cases where they have like a Ophelia. I'm not really too sure. There was one where it's like, the whole maiden idea and all that kind of stuff. Then the people who stayed, they work, they do all the things that they're supposed to do, and after a while, they might fall into drinking and party, but they want to go back. And they end up going back to basically the one that got kind of left off, because they're really going to lose pretty much their dowry and type of thing. So if I try to sort it out to make it more even or balanced, and I can only do this through talking so that it doesn't happen to such an extent, because a lot of them don't do it. There's in countries that came over here that didn't go back and like necessarily have that situation happen to them. But my guess would be like you would end up seeing like someone, a maiden, like what do you call it? Oh, I forgot what was it. Was the Black Madonna or something like that, where she didn't get any piece of this basically, because it gets thrown so out of concept where not every single person gets it, but they have a legitimate claim because they're an individual case, if you know what I mean. So it becomes more Catholic on their end, and then a lot of them sit there and say, "Well, we weren't really from here or whatever, and we want to go back." And then that happens sometimes, and sometimes it's not. And this is why I said sometimes I kind of like the Burning Cross, because it reminds me, if it's happening at an astronomical rate where it's not legitimate relationship wise, I'll see that a lot. I'll see a lot of that. And there's sometimes where it is like they're really like, it's a legitimate relationship, and that's wonderful, and it's perfectly good concept. And it's really actually hard on more people who are from the place where they're from than it is on the people that are not from there, but in a different kind of concept. Like they see it as an attack on their individuality. So like somebody who has a relationship with someone who's been here for a long time or whatever, let's say they're of two different races or something like that, they feel like their relationship is looked on in a negative sort of way. And even the ones that are not forced into that position, that they're of the same, birth type or whatever like that, they also feel that too. And then it's just as hard on the people who are like some of these women and some of these guys who are just going to work here, and some of the women that are like Muslim, going to end up without any dowry or without any care or anything, that end up going back to their own country and stuff like that. So it's kind of like a two-faced hardship, I guess you would call it. So I wanted to bring that up just to try to even it out a bit, so that it would lessen the uh, I don't know, I guess the strifey pain of like why do I feel like this? Why do I do that? Before you get into those 3 crosses types, because that's really hard stuff. That's really, really hard stuff. So, alright, well, I'm just going to leave this video up and say goodbye. Thank you.